Origin just almost reaction. This is, it's true. A-10s multiples can beat F-22's in air combat. Why is the apostrophe S now? Yeah, here's why. But on Sandboxx. Okay. Picture of an A-10 sporting an F-22 marking on his fuselage have been circulating. I'm guessing he's talking about 1v1. Oh, it doesn't matter what it is. Okay, this was on Sandboxx, obviously. Okay, people told me that I should watch Sandboxx, react to Sandboxx video because it's like better journalistically than other Wikipedia channels that I've been watching or whatever. What the fuck is this? How do you explain this title? No way in hell A-10 is beating F-22 in any condition, any scenarios. A-10 is great for ground support. He says in air combat. F-22 is literally air dominance plane. It's like untouchable air dominance plane even right now. There's many planes between A-10 and F-22 that would like F-22. Obviously he's basing on I'm guessing some kind of an exercise where something happened. But again, there's like a more context, more nuance. But I don't know why this title say like he should have said like, okay, here's what happened or something like that. He's saying it's true, which means he's saying that this is the A-tanks can take down F-22, which is like, I don't know what to. Yeah, this video is going to be intense. Let's just say. Remember, if you like my reaction, don't forget to subscribe. So I know which type of videos to react tomorrow. Check out other reaction days to Sandboxx and things like that. Task and purpose and other military related videos that I've been watching recently. Check out the link in the description. Check out the end cards, and yeah, let's do it.
Alright, how did an A-10 Warthog beat an F-22 Raptor in a dogfight? You heard me right. A few years ago, these pictures surfaced online of an A-10.
Oh yeah, he did talk about in one of his videos where A-10s have like F-22 put on the photo right there. What the fuck?
Thunderbolt II, also known as the Warthog, sporting an F-22 kill marking painted on the side of its fuselage. Now this obviously didn't happen in a real fight, this happened in an air combat exercise, but it is nonetheless impressive that this low...
It didn't happen in real fight. I'm imagining A-10 going brr, 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 and massive distance where A-10 can't even see F-22. F-22 launched a missile and A-10 is no longer there. That's what would happen.
And slow ground pounder of an aircraft managed to take out the reigning king of the skies. But you might be surprised to hear that this sort of thing actually happens fairly often. Maybe not always with F-22s, but certainly with other fighters. You see, the A-10 was not built for air-to-air combat. In fact, it really was purpose-built around its massive 30mm GAU-8 Avenger rotary cannon. Now that cannon is all about engaging targets on the ground, as is the majority of the munitions carried by the A-10. But that doesn't mean it has no air-to-air chops. In fact, that same 30mm cannon can be deadly in a close-quarter scrap, and A-10s usually carry a pair of AIM-9M Sidewinder infrared-guided or heat-seeking air-to-air missiles to boot. Now, in real combat operations, the A-10 would usually be flying in concert with air superiority fighters, like the F-15 or the F-22, and it would be up to those fighters to take out any inbound adversary aircraft. But that doesn't mean you won't ever get what they call a squeaker, a fighter that makes it through that combat air patrol and goes after the Warthog. Now, in those circumstances, Warthog pilots have really only one option. Their aircraft is far too slow to ever outrun a fighter that's bearing down on them. So, you gotta turn and fight. And believe it or not, in those circumstances, the A-10 can hold its own. Now, the A-10 may be slow, but it also has an extremely tight turn radius. In fact, it can outturn the F-22 in most circumstances. And as a result, the A-10 has the best chance of orienting its nose at an adversary aircraft to get a shot in with that cannon. And as Colonel Danny Gator Yunt once said of his own...
Ah, come on, what are you talking about? Okay, I get it, A-10 can maneuver great. But you're telling me if like F-22 flew slower, like 0.7 Mach or something, F-22, it doesn't have like, turnability radius greater than A-10s? It's not agile than A-10? Is that what you're saying? How is A-10 is like a heavy moose of a plane, right? It's like with a bucket and everything, right? So I don't know, F-22 can outmaneuver it. I mean, I'm thinking you're thinking like scenario, let's say F-22 is like nose to nose with A-10 or something. and A-10 is like nimbly can like like try to evade or something. I don't know. I feel like F-22 can outmaneuver A-10, right? F-22 can do that. Like can I don't know, can suddenly like move out with the speed and suddenly slower the speed, turn and just get behind his ass before A-10 even realize, because it has a speed in its arsenal, right? It can just like charge past and just like come behind A-10's ass and just like shoot it down or something. But I don't think you would never come to that scenarios in the first place. F-22 would never let A-10 get closer, like UFC fighter said. So that would never happen.
Own A-10, other pilots have to respect the gun. But even if other pilots are smart enough to stay clear of those guns, the pair of AIM-9M Sidewinder infrared guided air-to-air missiles carried by most Warthogs are enough to take down enemy aircraft.
Oh, I guess it's part of the video. I'm like, what the hell? Just audio went out.
And while I can't tell you exactly how that A-10 in particular took down an F-22, I can tell you that I've spoken to enough A-10 pilots over the years to say that that's likely exactly what happened. But what you really need to know when it comes to these engagements is it's not like an A-10 and an F-22 squared off in a fair fight. Instead, these kinds of exercises are designed specifically to put the more capable platform at a significant disadvantage. Now that gives A-10 pilots the opportunity to train in a unique set of circumstances, where they're trying to press an advantage against a more capable aircraft. But it also gives the pilots of those more capable aircraft, like the F-22 or an F-16, a different set of unique challenges.
Look, I understand the exercise purposes, but I think this is ridiculous. I'm pretty sure like they told F-22 that they can go up faster than Mach 1 or something when need be. They can outmaneuver somewhere. They probably can use their radars or something. Does A-10 even have a radar? I don't know. You can do most of this thing. Okay, obviously A-10's arsenal is like going to be powerful than F-22's. F-22 is a stealth fighter. It needs to sacrifice a lot of things. A-10 has like a 30mm cannon. Of course, it can take down F-22 when those are the case. But like F-22 can be its own thing, A-10 can be its own thing, and then seeing like who wins, it's not even a question, come on, right? F-22 can easily outmaneuver A-10 need be with the speed, right? He can just suddenly, like come up out of his, just like suddenly behind A-10's ass, right? With the radar and like next generation of all the technology, they can detect A-10 many ways. The A-10 can't even know where the F-22 is. Even if let's say A-10 detected F-22, F-22 would do some maneuvers and speed, like, okay, now I can't see F-22. Now F-22 knows where you are. It suddenly would be behind it, like A-10 is not a thing anymore. Shot down. Come on, this is insane.
Where they find themselves, say, staring down the barrel of an A-10's 30mm cannon and needing to make quick decisions to get themselves out of that predicament. Now, this is no different than when you see UFC fighters training from the disadvantage, having their opponent start in the full mount. The whole idea is that you need to get yourself uncomfortable in training so that you are comfortable in the fight. So how did an A-10 take out an F-22? Well, if it was a one-on-one air combat exercise, the A-10 may have even started out right behind the Raptor, at which point all it needs to do is secure a lock, whereas the Raptor pilot needs to frantically shake it. But it also could have been in a large-scale air combat exercise where there are dozens or even hundreds of aircraft operating in the same airspace. And in those sorts of circumstances, it's not hard to accidentally find yourself inside the, say, 10-mile engagement range of a Sidewinder missile from an attack aircraft 10,000 feet below you that you weren't paying much attention to. This is why situational awareness is so important for air combat pilots, because there are threats all around you, and they can manifest from where you least expect it. So, did an A-10 beat an F-22 Raptor in a dogfight? The answer is almost certainly yes. But would that mean the A-10 is better than the F-22 at air combat? Of course not. It just means the air combat exercises were organized appropriately for everyone to get something out of the training. Now extrapolate that lesson to other stories you've heard about F-22's losing to Eurofighter Typhoons or Filipino F-A-50s. The reason you heard about those stories at all are because even with the deck stacked against it, the F-22 still almost always comes out on top. And when it doesn't, it's headline news, because anomalies make for good headlines.
I kind of see the story going in that direction, but still, like the title is like, why the okay? I'm pretty sure like the disadvantage was much higher against A-10 like criteria. No way A-10 is beating in any scenario of 22s, right? Even the scenario that he told, I don't know, like A-10 probably doesn't have a radar, you know. I'm pretty sure it doesn't have radar, but even if it does, it's not even close to F-22s, right? It's a ground support plane. In air dominance, it can't work. I mean, like I said, even a knife is deadly, so A-10 is 30mm cannon, it's gonna be deadly. But no, many things F-22 has with a skilled pilot. F-22 can take out like a 10 A-10s, like 20 A-10s if need be, if F-22 knows what, pilot is know what it's doing. So this is an insane, but yeah, I guess it makes sense. A-10 took down F-22. Why is United States government, Pentagon spending on these useless planes? There you go. That usually agenda spins that way, right? Why are you spending in next generation air dominance? This is why F-22 was delayed a lot with purchasing in the start of 21st century. Why do we need it? Only because of the current conflicts that are going on. People are like, okay, I guess spend now. There you go. Alright, well, if you like my reaction, don't forget to subscribe, and yeah, I'll see you next time.